Welcome to today's meetup. Saim is here. He is now willing to spontaneously answer all of your questions. Unfortunately, our guest could not be with us today. Actually, we wanted to discuss the different text types that can be used with AX Semantics, but it was our guest Christian from WebGears, of the company WebGears. Unfortunately, he is ill. Okay, what will be on our agenda today? So we will answer as many questions as possible that you have. So you might have questions as regards text automation and other issues that you might be interested in. You might have questions for Saim, maybe on his activities as a CEO. Feel free to ask your questions. Don't be shy and drop us a line. We will first tell you a little bit about AX Semantics, how it works, and then we start with the questions. Yes, let's do it. All right, we will first introduce to you AX Semantics. We will tell you a little bit about the nature of AX Semantics, how it works, and this might give you an incentive to ask questions later on. All right, AX Semantics is a SaaS platform, software as a service, and that means that our customers can use our software without installing it. You can access our software via the browser. You can enter your product data or other structured data via the browser. What is structured data? It might be an Excel table. We have different columns there and with different data. For instance, the temperature in Hamburg, the postal code of Hamburg, and so on, and the temperature. And you can enter all the different cities with the temperature and the postal codes and so on. And this is structured data. And then you can enter some variants. You can start Hamburg, 22 degrees maximum temperature, and then Stuttgart, for instance, and the postal code of Stuttgart. So there are some variants that you can enter. And this then leads to a structured text. And there can be different types of wording for the same information. You have the same information, city, temperature, and postal code, and you can write different texts with this data. And where do we use this text generation? Many of our customers are e-commerce customers. They have product descriptions, product categories, and also FAQs. And they use this automated text generation for their endeavors. Then we have also customers such as Peer 14, and they also use text generation for thank you emails and we do care emails. They send their customers some care instructions for the products they purchased. And Peer 14 does it without a buying incentive, or buying intent. They just want to convey the message that they care for the customer, that they support them. They provide them with care instructions such as you might want to air your product instead of washing it to extend the lifespan of the product. Yes, let me add on this. That's the first question that we gathered beforehand. Some of you sent in your questions in advance, and that's a fitting question. So in what field is AX Semantic useful? What texts can be automated and what text types are not so useful in this matter? Okay, that's a very, very good question. It's a very broad question, to be very honest. Okay, let me answer your question. AX Semantics can be used with scalable texts. You have a certain type of text, and for instance, product descriptions and weather descriptions, the sports results, 800 soccer results, for instance. These are typical user cases. But it is not so useful for texts that are just written once, unique texts such as an interview with the federal president, for instance. This, or another example, is an interview with a prominent person, with the Queen of England, for instance. So you need to have structured data, and it must be scalable, and the data must be provided beforehand. Okay, there you can also look at how we can differentiate AX Semantics with different automation products. But this is not what this is about. First, you have to look at scalability and also at languages. Do you need your text in various languages, or do you just need them in German? Just imagine you have a product description for your t-shirt, and you need to have various descriptions for different platforms, for Amazon, for your web shop, and so on. So you need to use it with data to create unique texts with some variables. And for that, you need to have a fixed structure where just some components change. And in these situations, AX Semantics can be really useful. I hope that this answers your question. Yes, especially as regards various languages, it is important to have high quality texts. So you can do your quality checks just once and generate hundreds of texts out of it. So you have a good quality check here. But for instance, you translate your text with DeepL, you have to do quality checks time and again. Yes, yeah, we had a meetup on the translation of texts, AXIS. Maybe you can share the link with the meetup with AXIS. They said that they translated battery texts and they translated them with DeepL, and they said, and they showed the advantages of this product, and they translated it into Italian, and then the result was the disadvantages of the product are. So this was a problem. DeepL did not manage to translate the text properly. So we don't translate the text, but we generate the text in various languages. So it's just a different approach. You don't analyze them, but you write them and have the different components. So we save some steps here and create high quality texts in various languages. In general, the question is, where is the difference between GPT-3 systems and AX Semantics? When to use what? Yes, that really adds to our issue here. GPT-3 and other solutions use texts that are online already. They use the online corpus and then predict what words will follow the different words. And this is, so you can just enter some words, for example, COVID-19 vaccination, doctor, health minister, just for example, and then the text, and then the system creates a text based on these words. So they just resort or use the content that is online already. But you might have various intentions. You might emphasize that there's criticism as regards the health minister, or you might want to express that he is doing well, that the minister is doing great. But the system cannot judge here. It's an AI solution, and it just generates a text that might be biased. So it is not clear what the result is. Yes, many people say, yeah, you can just edit the text later on. Yes, you can. But at the end of the day, you will have a lot of work and you will have to put a lot of effort into editing these texts, into fact checking the texts and proofreading them. Yes, that's a lot of work. So some companies produce 3 to 4 million texts. You cannot just generate them and then fact checking and proofreading them. That's too much work. You have to really save time and costs here because the AI generates the texts, a unique text, but our customers want to have several millions of texts, and that's what we do. We use structured data and generate texts based on this data. Yes, of course, we also use an AI system. Of course, it is also an AI-based software, but the source is different. We have a database structure, and the GTP3 uses millions of texts that are online already. Just imagine you want to have a unique text and you want to be different from other texts that are all online already. That's not possible with GPT-3 because they use texts that are online already. So the advantage of AX Semantics is that you create your own texts based on data, and then you can scale up based on this baseline. I don't know who's online already. I hope this answered your questions. Wolf has the fourth question here, and this might also add to the things that you just said. The question is, how has text generation developed over the last 2 years? Do we use AI as to add to what already existed, or how was the development in general? Could you please talk a little bit more about this? Yeah, okay, so what has changed over the last 2 years? One thing that is not on the market yet is something that it is an add-on to our tool for international companies, something that is there for since 1 year now, is a personalized solution. And then we will have a tool that assesses the quality as regards the interaction with the user. So how does the user react to our product descriptions? And this then gives us information on how to optimize the texts that increases sales and revenue, because this is our goal, right? So these are the last two developments of the last 2 years. So the personalization aspects really take center stage, and it leads to a higher conversion rate in general. And Metaf also has YouTube videos and interviews. You might want to share the link here. Yes, please share the link for us. The Metaf interview. 75% increase in conversion due to personalization. We didn't just change the colors and so on, but we adapted the text to the customer and to the phase, or to the stage of the buying process. So we really addressed this the situation of the customer, and we adapted the content of our texts accordingly. And we also added some languages and also had some platform tweaks. But for all of you who are working on the international market, you will see that we improved on various aspects. So this will really facilitate the work of international companies as regards their content automation. So it's a good reason to look at AX Semantics. And to understand the nature of it. There are also further detailed questions on the functions of AX Semantics. How can you automate FAQs? How does it work? We will also have this meetup of today. We will have it later, and then we'll see how WebGIS does it. And what does it mean for the general visibility in the search engines? It was a huge success for this company, and I can only invite you to join this meetup as well. And then we'll also share a link to an information paper later. We'll send you an email after this session, and then you can also look at this issue and read more information about it, because in general we have dense competition here. Various stakeholders have similar texts, and the challenge here is to be exceptional and to differentiate your product from other products. The SEO team from WebGIS really did an exceptional job, because they really looked into where they can score, where they can be particularly successful, and that's what they did. So they did their research, they did their homework, and this really led to an breakthrough success for this company. But we will discuss this in our next meetup with Christian Heidbaum of WebGIS groups. So no, I will not give more information away, because you will hear from Christian Heidbaum in our next meetup. Exactly, yes. So Christian Heidbaum did not only generate FAQs, but also other texts and concepts. So I can only recommend you to join our meetup with Christian Heidbaum. All right. How can you integrate external data? Do you have to have any programming skills or coding skills? How does it work? Yes, all right. You can have an Excel sheet as a database. Some customers just start with Excel before they use an API, or before they use our API to upload data. But there are various approaches. Let's start with an Excel sheet. You can start with an Excel sheet and later on use a more complex approach. But also connecting various tools is not a huge problem. Some customers just need 30 minutes. Some customers need a little longer, maybe 1 or 2 days. But in a nutshell, it is something that is not too difficult. So everything between 30 minutes and 2 days is a realistic amount of time that you will need to upload your data or to connect your database to AX Semantics. So for this reason, we just allowed our customers to start with a CSV format sheet, an Excel sheet, for instance. But if you want to work with AX Semantics, you can also use our onboarding sessions. Our experts help you to upload your data. We know that our customers do well in uploading their data. We help them and support them. We explain them the basic functions of our software. And then everything's done. You can start copywriting and have your text in just a couple of days. And let me add that our customers said that it is something that you need to deal with. It is not completely intuitive. It is more complex than you think. But if you give it some time, if you really spend some time with it, you really swiftly get the hang of it. So it is something that is doable. Absolutely, yes. All right. Then let's have a look at the next question. The question is, what is required to use AX Semantics. What is required in general? Okay, the minimum requirements are clear. You need to have structured data in form of a table, for instance, and the longer the text you want, the longer the text is supposed to be, the more structured the data needs to be. Per sentence, you need 1.5 data fields. If you want to have a text of 8 to 12 words per sentence, if you want to have 100 words, you need to have 15 data fields. If you want to describe a black pair of stockings, you need to have the brand, the color, the material, the logo, the general components of the material, elastane, cotton, and so on. Then you want to describe that the stockings are seamless. But yeah, you cannot write. You might. There's not too much to say about stockings in general. But then that's it. So it's not too complex. You need to have data for your texts, and then you need to be realistic and to assess whether you really have 100 words to describe a pair of stockings. So what we do, if you don't have enough data, we recommend our customers to create a dictionary. For instance, Hugo Boss. You might write, it's a company founded in Germany, founded by the guy such and such, and then you can write a little bit about the brand, and then you might to enter some adjectives. So it's not just about product data, but also a little bit more about the background. You write something about Tommy Hilfiger, the brand, that these are men's stockings from a brand that is based in California, and so on. So you don't just have to enter product data, but you can also give a little bit of background information here. So for this reason, it is really good to have such a dictionary, such a database just for this information. To give you an example, you can have Hilfiger and also other brands. Give a little bit of more information, and then you can embellish your texts a little and to enrich them. At Pier 14, we also added their general values, their love for the Baltic Sea, and we also described the Baltic Sea. We had a windproof jacket, and then we wrote something like, it is an ideal jacket to stroll at the beach, to take a stroll, to enjoy a beautiful day at the windy beach, at the beautiful Baltic Sea beach. And then it's also very nice to wear a blazer, for instance, to go out for dinner at the Baltic Sea, enjoy a romantic evening. And this is what we wrote about the different items of Pier 14. So if you just have little product data, feel also free to watch our episode with Annika from Pier 14. Please share the link, because Annika also explained us a little bit about how they wrote their text, what was their approach. And it was really insightful for all of our participants, because every 4 weeks she gave us an update on their approach as regards the implementation of AX Semantics. And it was a really nice episode. So it was nice to see how she started to automate their text, to set up their web shop. And yeah, feel free to click on the link. And yes, Christoph also asked another question. He said, question asked the question, what is required to use AX Semantics? What skills do a person have to have? Are coding skills required? Yes, okay. Many people ask me this question. You don't need to have a person who code or who programs this software, but it is good to know grammar a little. You need to know the German grammar. You need to know terms such as preposition, a noun, and an adjective. So this is required, yes. You need to understand certain aspects, and it is easier to understand it if you know the German grammar a little. Of course, you can also do your research, and also for people who do not know grammar can get into working with this software, but in general, German grammar is required to also have high quality texts then in the end, because the things that you program here, the rules that you determine, are the basis for the text that you have in the end. Of course, you need to have a basic understanding of the German language, and the basic understanding here, this is required. Our customer success team wants to ensure that our customers are successful. Of course, that's what the name suggests, and they will help you if you need help. But if you don't speak the German language, of course, this might be a little difficult, but you can join us in a digital training program, and this gives you all the information at hand that you need to start using our software. All right, thank you so much, Saim. Let's have a look at another question. We also have a comment on LinkedIn here. But first, let me ask the question from Nina. Nina sent in a question in advance, and she asked, can you feed GPT-3 data into the system? So can we use GPT-3 data with AX Semantics? And will this lead to correct texts in general? Okay, it is a question as regard the different results of GPT-3 and AX Semantics. GPT-3 uses text corpora from the internet, general articles and web pages, and AX Semantics. No. Okay, the question was different. The question was about the difference here. GPT-3, 400 words are used with GPT-3, and then it uses a text corpus. They use the language model there. And what does AX Semantics do? With AX Semantics, you want to decide beforehand whether you want to write an article or a report on soccer, and so the type of content. And then the human being enters the data, so a human being trains the machine. And this then extends the skills of copywriter. So it just helps the copywriter to write texts. And this is how it is. And this is what makes it easier to create texts and to work towards a goal, selling products in a web shop or writing more articles in a journal, or in a newspaper. So you can adapt your texts to your readers, but it is a human-based training. So that's the major difference. We are currently also having a live session on LinkedIn here. And there's a comment, and it says that AX Semantics is more more easily to controlled, and you can really make sure that the text can be scalable, and you can really control the content. Yes. So you don't have various texts for various things. Or copywriters, you can use AX Semantics for various types of texts. So we really just provide the groundwork here. You have some restrictions, and you see that all the texts from our tool have the same intent. But with GPT-3, it's a little different because the texts can have various intentions. So it is not really clear what the result will be. And I'd like to give you an example here from the food industry. Just imagine you just leave out the notice on hazelnut and someone is allergic against hazelnut. If you just leave the sentence out with hazelnut, the machine then learns you should not leave out the notice on hazelnut. This is what the machine learns. And this is what really shows what the machine can do. It is a deep learning effect. They work with trial and error. They work with trial and error to see whether they end up at the same position. And that's not a good way for the production of text descriptions and product descriptions. Of course, in the chat, you will find a link where you can read more about this. Now, there's a question from Wolf. Can AX help me if my company has no, no, there are two questions. The question about the quality. My company needs high quality texts, and the texts are only as good as the data is. So it's a garbage in, garbage out principle. If you enter incorrect data, you will end up with incorrect texts. So you need to have a skilled copywriter in general to end up with high quality text. Of course, it is difficult to find good copywriters. So we have a different system here. We have 8 text service providers, so partners who help our customers to implement their AX approach. So you can just have someone to help you, so a third party to help you draft your texts. We have 8 of these service providers here in Germany, so you can have various or request various quotes and compare the prices there. Of course, price transparency is something that is very dear to us. You will find all of our prices on our website. So we are very transparent with this price information. So we help you find a third party, a service provider. We have 8 partners that offer you their services. Feel free to compare their prices and their services to find a fitting offer here. So how much does it cost? How much does it cost to use a text automation software? Okay, the short answer is It really depends. Okay, I'm going to share a link with you. 799 euros per month. This is how much you need to pay to have the full service with our customer support team. You can use it with 2 languages and 2 user accounts, and 2,500 products can be or 200,000 products descriptions can be generated, and you can change and adapt the product descriptions time and again. Just imagine you have a company that wants to have some texts for the winter season and some texts for the summer and winter season, and then this company just changes their texts. For instance, some company that sells pens. In winter, they want to advertise the functions for the delicious Austrian dish Kaiserschmarrn. And in summer, you might want to have different product descriptions for fish, for instance, because in summer, people like to eat fish. So in winter, you might to have different product descriptions than in summer. And yeah, this is how you can have dynamic product descriptions. With our assessment tool, performance assessment tool, you will see that the texts with the winter topic might perform better than the summer topics. Just imagine you say something about fish, or just imagine you want to try to address people who just eat vegan. You can also write something about vegan sausages. Yes. All right. Okay. So you can just generate the text once and then adapt them for the various seasons. Yes. In 1996, Boris Becker launched a advertising campaign, and he said, "I'm in." And now we see that there are some advertising texts that are still from 1996. So they did not adapt their advertising texts accordingly. Now we have Greta Thunberg. She says that we need to tackle climate change and we should not travel, and so on and so on. So for this reason, you might also address vegan products for your pan that you want to advertise. So climate action might be something that should be in focus. And now we also have a pandemic. So some advertising campaigns also focus on COVID. Just imagine we had the situation that people need to self-isolate, and to avoid contacts. Then you might to focus on the on social cohesion and the general need for people to be in contact with others. So you might want to address social aspects. And now some things are important, like organic products and fair trade products, climate actions. These issues play a crucial role right now, and these issues should also be mentioned in the product descriptions. You cannot just write a product description and it will not be up to date in 10 years time. No, that's not what this is about. You need to work with a continuous improvement process. You need to be clearly with your words and write texts, approve them, and work on them continuously. And yes, it's like a design of a shop, and the SEO thing. It is something that you need to work on continuously. There's another question. a question as regards Google. What do you think? What's the stance of Google as regards text automation? What was automated? Yes, we have a helpful content update currently working. So Google takes a look at various websites. They have an algorithm, and this algorithm helps to assess whether the content of a website is valuable and helpful. And Google then assesses whether content is available, is valuable. Now, let's assume we have a web shop, and on a web shop for soaps and for detergent and washing liquid, you will not expect tips on how to save washing liquid. No, you will expect information on how we should use washing liquid. So you don't want to get information, but you want to buy the product, and then it's better to focus on purchasing information. You will focus on the price and so on. But you might also want to focus on how this product is helpful to protect our environment. So you should not mention so you really have to differentiate whether you want to offer helpful content in this matter, whether you want to provide information on the product or general background information. So just please deliver information on what the customer wants to know. This is what Google does and how Google helps you to provide useful and valuable information to the customers. And they take a look at the search request, and then they assess whether the content on a website match the search request in general. And they assess what type of content is expected and what content is delivered. You just don't need to enter all the keywords that in your text to be more visible. No, this is not useful. Okay, there's one more question here. Another question as regards content automation. Can I have articles, information articles with external sources? Yes, you can use AX Semantics in this matter, but whether this is really advisable, that's the question. How much effort do you have to put into gathering this data and to use it? So I said, so it is feasible, just technically speaking. Just have a look at this. If we have a look at these information articles, it is feasible because there's a scalable model behind it. Also in the example with FAQs, you have an editorial team, and there it is really recommendable to do it from a business perspective. You have to look at this from an economic perspective and to assess whether it is really useful to use AX Semantics in your field, because then is it really feasible or advisable to have texts in 10 various languages or just information texts? Or do you have to have 40 or 30 languages? Yeah, it is something that you have to assess first. Especially it is advisable to look at it from an economic perspective. This is what I can generally recommend to you. Yes. All right. Okay, then so much for that. I'd like to wrap up here. Thank you so much for your great questions. We really learned a lot here today. It was really insightful and it was really fun to respond to all of your questions. You really gave interesting answers. People also thanked us. So I think people are content, our visitors and general audience is happy. Thank you for participating in our meetup. Thank you. Bye bye. See you soon. If you have still questions, feel free to drop us a line, write us an email. We will respond to your questions also afterwards. Bye bye.